Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be doing my October reading wrap up. So you're going to get at least 2 more videos with the spooky backdrop, and then possibly a couple transition videos, and then it'll be straight into holiday Christmas. I left them up this year so I could have this for this October reading wrap up. Since all of the books I read are fall and Halloween related, I read a lot of books for October. I think I got to almost 20 books. This video is going to be specifically everything I listened to and read after Not So Scary-a-thon. So if you missed it, I posted my Not So Scary-a-thon wrap up a couple weeks ago, which is basically going to have everything I read for the first 9 days of October. And this video is going to have everything I read from October 10th through the 31st, starting with the physical books. Okay, so I only got to 3, technically 2 books through the rest of October. I didn't physically read a lot this month with everything going on. So I read a graphic novel. This is The Seance Tea Party. This is kind of a coming of age young adult graphic novel. It might even be considered middle grade. I'm not entirely sure how old she is, but basically about a young girl that wants to continue believing in magic, playing dress up and all those kinds of things. And all of her friends are starting to kind of grow out of that. And then she discovers like a new ghosty friend that's like a make-believe friend. It's really cute, really fun. It didn't overly speak to me, so it's probably just about a 4-star read. Not like a new all-time favorite, but it was very, very cute, and if you love graphic novels, I would check it out. Then I read The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is just honestly, a very, very short graphic novel of the entire movie in graphic novel form. Very quickly done. It says the story of the movie in comics. Very short, very quick, very fun. Has all the graphics that you want. I just wanted a quick extra graphic novel to read, so I did this one. It doesn't even have an author or anything. It just says it's by Disney. And then I read Alice in Zombieland. I started this one, I think, for Not So Scary-a-thon, but I did not finish it until somewhat recently. So this is by Jenna Showalter. This is a extremely loose Alice in Wonderland retelling. We're following our main character, Alice Bell, and she has kind of an unusual family. Her dad is convinced that there are monsters lurking about that only he can see, and so she is not allowed to go out in the dark. She's not allowed to go out on certain days, and he kind of will like randomly freak out when they're driving by certain areas, and she thinks he's crazy and she wants her mom to leave him, and her life is kind of hard. And then one day she convinces him to let them all like stay out and go to her sister's dance recital, and there's a car crash and her entire family is killed. Not really a spoiler because it's kind of in the synopsis. But she also realizes that her dad might not be crazy after all because she sees some unusual things. There's romance in here. This stays completely in the modern world with some like paranormal magical elements to it. We get some nods to Alice in Wonderland in here, but it's not a solid retelling by any means. There's just some like little things that kind of nod to the original story. Don't love Jenna Showalter's writing style. Read a couple other books from her and they are very, very young. They're on the younger side of YA writing. It's got a little bit more of like the high school drama with like cattiness and kids kind of like fighting each other and calling each other names and things. It wasn't too bad in this one, but it is something to kind of keep in mind. Just something that I don't entirely enjoy. I did feel like this one was a little on the long side and it felt a little bit off on the storytelling. However, I really liked the way the zombies were done in here. It was very cool. I actually really liked the love interest, even though he's kind of a jerk. And I liked the romancy parts. I liked her friend in here a lot, and I liked some of the other side characters. It just felt a little bit on the long side, but I think I will read the second book, and I have all 4 of them. It's a large series, so I'm curious to see what all 4 books are going to be about. And I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. So then I actually started a reading vlog right after Not So Scary-a-thon talking about a lot of these books and me reading them. So that will be up hopefully soon. I just have to edit it. But I first started off listening to Pumpkin Queen on audio, and I'll put the narrators right here like normal. This is a quick short audiobook that is technically a sequel to The Nightmare Before Christmas, following mostly Sally, and you're following her and you get to go to a couple different lands, how they have like the trees marked with the holidays. You get to go to a couple different one of those, which is really cool. It has all the characters that you love. This was a cute, quick read. It definitely felt like it read a little bit more like a middle grade, so that's something to keep in mind. This was a very hard task to fulfill because it was very strange for me to adjust kind of like visualizing things in my head instead of watching the movie of The Nightmare Before Christmas. I felt like it was a tiny bit slow at parts even though it was shorter. I feel like it was kind of just hard to totally pull this off, but I think that Shay did a really good job overall, and I wound up liking it overall, and it's a good quick one for the fall season. fun. I just don't know that it was like as amazing as I wanted it to be. That's okay. I think I wound up giving it like 3.75 stars. The narrator was decent, but Sally, being the main character like through the whole thing, is a little bit grating because she's a little bit whiny in the book and a little bit kind of overly sad. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Okay, so then I decided to listen to The 7 Half-Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. My buddy read this one with my friend Bella. This is a long adult murder mystery that everyone has been telling me to read for a long time, so I was very excited to finally get to it. I've been really on a murder mystery kick lately. Now, this one sadly was not the 5-star I was expecting it to be. It had a lot of elements for me that I really enjoyed. It had kind of like a time loop element while you're like trying to solve a mystery, and then time is kind of like repeating and things are changing, and there's a ton of different characters to follow, so much so that I believe that the actual hardback book has like a list of characters and who they are and all the different things. You kind of needed like a flow chart to really keep track of everything that was going on. I felt like it was a little bit all over the place. I felt like it was definitely too long. Definitely hard to keep track of. If you don't have an easy time with audiobooks, I would physically read this one. You can kind of go through it slower and digest things a little bit more. I had overly high expectations because I love murder mysteries, and everyone was like telling me I was gonna be like in love with this book, and I liked it. The ending I wasn't entirely sure about. It had elements in it that I really like. I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want to give too much away. It's got like that Victorian Gothic feel about it. You've got a whole cast of characters that you can like decide who the murderer is, and it was good overall, and I would still recommend it if you like that style of read. Probably more like a 4-star read, maybe just under a 4-star. The audiobook narrator was good, however binging him was a little tough because he was so like soothing and relaxing, and he had a British accent, and so if you listen for like long periods I could kind of zone out a little bit. Not because I was like bored, it was just because he was so like relaxing. So it did take me and Bella quite a while to get through this, and I think she felt kind of similar to me. Then I finally got to Shades of Rest and Ruin by A.G. Howard. This is a new release that came out just like a month ago. I love A.G. Howard's writing. I've read a couple books from her, and she usually does fairy tale retellings. This one's kind of a loose retelling on the Goblin King, and I so enjoyed this. This had all of the Halloween vibes that you want. So our main character feels like she has a family Halloween curse because her parents died on Halloween, her sister died on Halloween, and other bad things kind of happened for her. She lives with her uncle, and he runs this bakery that's kind of got this mysterious quality to it with these like overly delicious foods. They're very lush. They talk very descriptively about the food, and they're very festive and fall themed. The town gets really into Halloween, and they have like a festival, and they talk about costumes and pumpkin carving, and it was just really, really good to get all of the fall vibes. And then you have this whole other element with this Goblin King retelling and these magical elements, and basically our main character draws to kind of relieve her anxiety over this like Halloween curse and the trauma from her past, and she starts to kind of see her drawings come around in real life, and she doesn't know what's going on. So she has this whole like other world she's created called the Mystical. It is just so lush. There's so much happening, so much detail. I loved all the side characters. I loved the love interest. I loved her uncle. Like, there was just so many things. And the ending was so good. It left on a major cliffhanger, so I'm really excited for the next book. I don't know if it's going to be a duology, a trilogy, or what, but I absolutely loved it. I gave it, I think, 4.5 stars. The narrator was pretty good as well. And I highly recommend this one for fall Halloween time because the vibes were great. Okay, so then I got to Asylum by Madeleine Roux. Narrator right here. The narrator did a good job. I did enjoy him. He was fine. This is actually only like a 6-hour audiobook. I really love Madeleine Roux's House of Furies trilogy, which made me want to pick this one up because normally this would have been way too scary for me and I would have no interest with anything called Asylum. But I really liked her writing, and so I wanted to check it out, and I've kind of pushed my boundaries a little bit. This was not scary at all, in my opinion. Our main character basically gets to go to this like boarding school that I think used to be an asylum, and so there's like kind of creepy things that are kind of surrounding the boarding school and kind of happen, but it really wasn't scary like at all based on the cover. In the book, you get all these creepy pictures and things, kind of similar to like Miss Peregrine's, but I thought it was very mild. This one, again, had that way younger YA feel to it. Almost middle grade, which I love a good middle grade, but Sometimes I don't like that vibe in my YA books. And I felt like not a lot happened in this for how short it was until the very end. And I'm kind of debating on whether I want to continue on with the series because I love Madeleine Ruse so much. I do believe this is her first series though. The ending was pretty good and it was such a quick read. Like it only took me like 4 hours to get through the audiobook at the speed I listen. So I'm not sure if I recommend this one yet. I'm gonna wait to read the second one to decide, but this was probably about a 3-star. All right, so then I got to Daughter of the Burning City. This is narrated by Emily Wu Zeller. I have been wanting to read this one for like the past 4 or 5 spooky seasons because I knew it was about like somewhat of a creepy carnival and I'd heard really great things. This is a standalone, which we love, and it's a large book, so I loved the audio. The narrator's fabulous. However, I would recommend getting the book even if you just borrow it from the library, because the deal with this one is you're in the town called Gomorrah and they have this festival, and our main character Serena is an illusion worker and she can create these illusions that kind of come to life and they perform at the festival, but they are also her family. So when she creates these illusions, they kind of become real, like real people, and she bases them all off her family. So like her uncle and her brother and all kinds of things, because she no longer has a real family. And then one day one of her illusions is murdered and she didn't even know that was possible. So she goes on this entire journey to figure out who would have murdered one of her illusions and how. So in the book, you're getting her drawings because she draws them first. You're getting her drawings of the family member and then what she says about them and their personality. And then you're also getting the notes and things from the murderer. And they do talk about them in the audiobook, but I thought it was very cool to see them in the book as well because there's lots of drawings in here. I just realized I have a signed copy of this, so that's really cool. It was really, really good. I super enjoyed it. It's like a fantasy, spooky murder mystery all in one package. I love that it was a standalone. I loved the love interest. I love the outcome of the ending and all of that. It was very enjoyable. So I gave this one 4 stars and I highly recommend it. Then I finally got to House of Hollow. I wanted to get to this one for Not So Scary-thon. I just didn't make it in time because I had so many things I wanted to read. So this one, you're following Iris Hollow and her 2 sisters who are very strange. When they were younger, they were stolen or disappeared for a month, and when they came back, they were different. They had white hair, their eyes turned black, and they had kind of mysterious qualities about them that were kind of unsettling for their parents. People are drawn to them because of their beauty. This can be kind of a good and a bad thing. They each handle it a different way, but when one of the sisters goes missing, the other 2 kind of join up to figure out where she has gone, and they feel like she's kind of like left them clues. This has a lot of mystery, a lot of creepy stuff to it. It's definitely on the slightly scarier side, definitely a little bit on the gory side, a little bit more of a true horror, but still young adult. I didn't find it scary myself, but I could see how other people did. The audiobook narrator is phenomenal. I literally felt like Hermione was telling me this story, and it was so like creepy and delicious. It's got like a magical woods. There's all these cool elements in here that I really love. The cover having to do with like flowers on the faces and things come into play, and I just really, really enjoyed this one. So this was also a solid 4-star for me. Then I read All These Bodies by Kendar Blake. Narrator right here. Again, another murder mystery. I got this one this year and I knew it was very short, so I wanted to just get through it really quickly before the end of the month. I so enjoyed my reading experience of this up until the end. I was loving it. You're in 1958 and there have been this string of murders that have happened in the Midwest, and all the bodies being found are left bloodless and nobody knows how or who is doing this. And then on September 19th, the Carlson family is slaughtered in their Minnesota farmhouse, and the case gets its first lead. There's a 15-year-old girl named Marie Hale found at the scene, and she is covered in blood from head to toe. First, they think she's a survivor, but then not a drop of the blood is hers. So Michael Jensen, who's the son of a local sheriff, yearns to become a journalist and escape his small town, and he never imagined that the biggest story in the country would fall into his lap. Marie decides that she wants to tell him her story, and he's the only one she wants to confess to. So you're following him interviewing Marie and getting her story, and then getting little clues as to what's happening, whether she had an accomplice, whether she didn't do anything at all, how she wound up there. I loved the whole journey, but the ending really leaves it open as to what actually happened. It doesn't really answer any of the questions that build up. Sometimes I love that, but I felt like this one was not done well. it just kind of left me a little irritated. So if you're in the mood for a journey and you want to read this and discuss it with me, feel free, because I feel very let down because this could have been a 5-star read for me, but that ending was just like, ugh. It was very annoying. So again, I didn't find this one scary, but it is slightly on the gorier side. Not too bad. It definitely is just like a quick spooky murder mystery, but sadly, I only gave this 3 stars. Okay, so then I listened to Into the Heartless Woods by Joanna Ruth Meyer. I read this one because it was about like tree sirens, like in the woods. And basically there's like this mysterious like witch woman in the woods, and she creates these trees that turn into sirens that lure people in and kill them. And we have this family that lives in the woods, and they have to do all these things to kind of protect themselves from the trees. The main character lost like his mother, and he kind of basically stumbles into one of the sirens, and she turns out to not be what he thinks. So of course, you know, I love a siren mermaidy theme. I also love Joanna Ruth Meyer's writing style. This one was very magical, very enchanting. It was very smart, it had things to do with the mysterious woods, the royalty, the sirens, fairy tales, and lore. I really, really enjoyed it. However, I feel like at the end of Joanna's books, and this is the 3rd one I've read so far, they get a little bit drawn out with what's happening and explaining the ending and everything. I always feel like, okay, it needs to pick up just a little bit. It's very lush, very descriptive, which will not be everyone's cup of tea. I like that, but I always feel like the endings could be cut just a little bit short and be like a tiny bit less dramatic. Still gave this one 4 stars though, and I really, really liked it. Then on the day of my party for Halloween, which was the Saturday before Halloween, I listened to almost the entirety of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I picked this one because I knew it was a full cast audio. I knew it would like suck me in. It has such good reviews. I love the audiobook for this. The full cast was fabulous. Our main character is trying to like do a research paper to get into college. She basically pulls up this incident that happened in her town where a boy was accused of murdering this girl, but then the girl's body was never found, and the boy wound up killing himself, and she kind of believes that he didn't do it because she knew him. And so she pulls it up and she does these interviews with people and kind of brings it back out. I think it's been like 2 years after. I liked it because like when they would do the phone calls, it actually sounded like a phone call, and it had all these like almost little sound effects to it. All the different narrators were really good. I was, again, in a murder mystery kick. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was going to be a 5-star. It wasn't. It was still a 4-star, which is still great. And it was really, really excellent. It just didn't quite reach the 5-star level for me. I loved following the different characters. I liked the romance in here. I liked our main character a lot. She was very feisty and bold, and it was very fun. I highly recommend the audio though because of the way they formatted it. I don't know if the book is multi-formatted, but the audiobook technically was, with the different narrators and the different sounds and things. So really enjoyed this one, and I'm so glad I got to it. Okay, then lastly, I got to Lake's Edge by Lyndall Clipstone. So I actually finished this one November 2nd, but I'm putting it on this video so it's fresh in my brain, but it won't be on the final photo, which we'll talk about in a second. So this is one of the ones I was the most excited about to get to for spooky season, but it had like a 7.5-week wait, and I got it in like 2 days before Halloween. This one almost has a tiny bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling vibe in the very beginning. So we're following Violetta Graceling, and her younger brother Aaron is plagued by these like nightmares and shadows that like spill out from his fingers when he has these nightmares, and she does everything she can to kind of help him, but she doesn't really know what's wrong. And then the mysterious Rowan Sylvan, who's known as the Monster of Lake's Edge, gives her an offer for her to come stay at his estate in exchange for using her brother's powers and also trying to help him. When she gets there, she learns all these mysterious things about the manor. It's visited by the Lord Under, who is like a mysterious dark deity who lurks in the ink black waters of the lake. We kind of have like a similar situation to like Belladonna or Addie LaRue, where there's like almost like a death type of a character or a god type of a character as well. This has a full cast of characters. I love a mysterious manor with all of the like crew and the servants and the different people in the castle. I like our main character. She's very feisty. She loves her brother. I love a good brother-sister relationship. Any kind of sibling relationship is really fun. This is very lush. It has a lot going on, a lot of detail, leaves off on a very bad cliffhanger as well. So I will be getting to the second one by the end of the year. Really enjoy this one. Again, 4 stars. Narrator, not my favorite. She's not bad, but she again can make you kind of zone out a little bit because she kind of reads everything a little bit more one-toned. But Highly enjoyed it. So glad I got to it, and it was a great way to end spooky season. Here are the physical books I got to in October. These pictures will also include the ones I got to during Not So Scary-a-thon, so it's just the entire month of October. So these are the physical books, and then these are the audiobooks. Really proud of myself. I got to a lot, and I got to a lot of the ones that I was really excited about and really wanted to get to, so I felt like this was very successful overall. Let me know how your spooky season was down below. I know I have like a couple crossover books just because I want to wrap up some series that I'll be reading in November. Stay tuned in a couple days. I'll put up my November TBR. It's going to be just a tad late. I have a holiday readathon announcement coming up soon. Also going to be just a tad bit late, but it's coming. And let me know if you've read any of these books, if you enjoyed any of them, what your favorite book of October was. And I will see you guys next time on The Bright Side.